Our next laureate is from Thailand. She is an experimental filmmaker. She's in fact the first woman to have ever won Best Director Award in Thailand and from the Thailand's National Film Association. She's also actively engaged in supporting other young talent, particularly among new female filmmakers, not just in Thailand, but throughout Southeast Asia, through a fund that she has co-launched. She's committed to promoting underrepresented voices, particularly among female filmmakers, and in her own spare time, she does teach film at Harvard University. Just thought I'd mention that. She's consistently challenged through her filmmaking the ways in which we look, think, and tell stories that affect our lives. Her name is Anocha Suwichakornpong, and she is being recognized by the Claus Fund Awards Committee for her beautiful, compelling, and thought-provoking films, for pioneering a mode of intellectual feminist thinking and filmmaking, for her bold choice of subject matter, for refusing to stay silent about unspoken realities and socio-political problems, for highlighting cinema's capacity to question and reimagine life, and for simply creating possibilities for others, teaching and mentoring younger generations, and significantly contributing to the emancipation and liberation, socially speaking, in Thailand. It is a pleasure to now introduce to you and invite onto the stage Anocha Suwichakornpong.
有ข้อมูลเดี๋ยวยามมา
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Prince Claus Fund for inviting me to be here this evening to share my story with you. And thank you all for being here this evening. So in 2005, I went back to Thailand it was after I finished my master's degrees studies in film from the United States. And a year later, in 2006, there was a coup d'etat which ended 15 years of democracy in Thailand. And the coup was supported by many people. And for the first time in my life, I realized how little I understood about my country. I started to question myself and the relationship I had with my society. And I wanted to understand who we were as a society and how we got there. So I started looking into the past. I started to look into the political history of Thailand in the 1960s and 70s because there were many parallels between what was happening in the 70s and Thailand in the year from around mid-2000 onwards. And it was around this time that I came across a documentary made in 1976 about the occupation of a jeans factory by the female factory workers. The documentary made a huge impact on me, and I was very moved by the testimonies given by the workers interviewed in the film. So I decided to make a short film called Jai. And it was my tribute to the struggles, the political struggles of the workers from the 70s. And this film was made around the year 2007. So in the aftermath of the coup d'etat of 2006, there were many political protests and unrest happening throughout Thailand. And the political situation, coupled with my growing frustration of living in patriarchal society, I started to develop my first feature film called Mundane History. And this film, Mundane History, is about the relationship between father and his son, a paraplegic son. It is an allegory of the political situation in Thailand. And in this film, I tried to tackle the subject that is unspeakable. It's an unspeakable truth about my country. It is unspeakable because we are prohibited by law from discussing it in public. So after I completed this film, I started to collaborate more with local filmmakers in Thailand and in the region of Southeast Asia. At the same time, I was developing my next feature film, and this was my second feature film called By the Time It Gets Dark, which you saw the clip in the beginning. So the film centers around a massacre that took place in Thailand again in 1976. It was an incident that took place in October 1976 when the police and right-wing paramilitary groups cracked down on student protesters. The students were protesting against the return of the dictator who ruled Thailand for a decade, from the 1960s to 70s. And the massacre resulted in a high number of casualties, deaths, and disappearances. Until this day, no one has been brought to justice, and it's still not taught in schools in Thailand. In 2017, I co-founded a film initiative called Purim Pictures that supports independent cinema in Southeast Asia. We give production grants and post-production grants to films that are made in Southeast Asia. And we also support film-related activities such as screenings and education programs and workshops held by various organizations and institutions. And last year, we conducted our first C study, which is a statistical overview of independent cinema in Southeast Asia. We looked into a number of films that were produced in each country in Southeast Asia and what types of production there were. So since this was our first time doing it, the data we have is not so comprehensive yet, but we're hoping to do this for many more years to come, and if we have enough information and data, we're going to compile this and make it into a report, and then we'll put it online so that it could benefit the filmmaking community in the region. And, well, this is, I think, where I am at today. And over the years, I've come to the realization that even though much of my work engages with the past, I think it's all in the service of that elusive and fragile thing that is called the future. And I think that's why we're all here today. Thank you very much.